Have you ever wondered how an AI actually predicts a football match? Not just the final score, but all the probabilities and stats that go with it? Well, today we're going to peek under the hood. Using reports from the Gambler's Ruin Project, we're going to see exactly how the digital brain of an AI breaks down a Premier League game. Let's dive in. It's the big question, isn't it? Can something as chaotic, passionate, and frankly, as unpredictable as football really be boiled down to just numbers and algorithms? It feels like it shouldn't be possible. But today, we're on a mission to find out just how close we can get. So where does an AI even begin? Before it can predict who's going to win, it needs a way to measure how good each team is in the first place. A fundamental power ranking. And for that, it turns to a really clever system called ELO. Now, you might have heard of ELO ratings from the world of chess, but it turns out it works great for football too. The idea is actually pretty simple. When you win a game, you gain points, and your opponent loses them. How many points depends on who is expected to win. It's this living, breathing score that gives us a snapshot of every team's relative strength at any given moment. And here's what that looks like in the real world. This is the whole league ranked by ELO. You can see the heavy hitters, your Arsenals and your Man Cities, sitting pretty up top with these massive scores. Everybody else falls in line below them. For the AI, this table is ground zero. It's the complete hierarchy of power. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. We're going to focus on these 4 teams for our examples: Manchester United, Newcastle, Brentford, and AFC Bournemouth. Keep these ELO numbers in mind, because they are the absolute starting point for everything that comes next. All right, so we've got our power rankings. Now for the really cool part, the prediction engine itself. The AI uses something called a unified ensemble model. I know, it sounds super technical and complicated, but the idea behind it is actually something we can all understand. Let's break it down. Just think of it like this. Imagine you have a committee of 5 different football experts. Instead of trusting just one of them, you ask all 5 for their take on the match. Each one has a slightly different way of looking at the game. Then you listen to all of them and form a final, smarter consensus. The AI does exactly that, but its experts are different algorithms. And here are the AI's experts in the flesh. Well, in the code. You've got different predictive models like neural networks and other statistical tools. Each one gets a vote on the outcome. And notice the weights, they're all valued pretty equally. The AI then blends all these different opinions together to make one single, much more robust prediction. So let's see how this all plays out in a real match. We're going to start with our first case study, Brentford versus AFC Bournemouth. This is a classic example of 2 teams that are on paper incredibly evenly matched. And when I say evenly matched, I mean it. Just look at these ELO ratings. 1548.8 for Brentford and 1548.6 for Bournemouth. You can't get much closer than that. If you're going by raw strength alone, this is basically a statistical coin toss. So how in the world does the AI pick a likely winner? Well, it looks at other variables. And the big one is home field advantage. Even though their ELO ratings are almost identical, the AI gives Brentford almost a 50% chance of winning at home. And the chance of Bournemouth winning away? Less than 19%. That is a massive difference, and it's driven almost entirely by where the game is being played. The model then starts to translate that win probability into goals. For the home team, Brentford, it's actually predicting a really high offensive output, on average about 3.38 goals. But for the away team, Bournemouth, it's a totally different story. The model expects them to score way less, just 1.49 goals. This big gap in expected goals is how the AI starts to paint a picture of how the game might actually play out. And finally, here's where it all comes together in a way we can really picture. The AI isn't just saying, yeah, Brentford will probably win. It's giving us the most likely final scores, and they're all high-scoring wins for the home side, like 3-1 or 2-1. Suddenly, all that abstract data starts to feel very real. Okay, on to our second matchup, which presents a totally different kind of puzzle. This time, we've got Manchester United playing at their famous home stadium, Old Trafford, against a very tough Newcastle United team. Now, here's the twist. If you just look at the ELO rating, Newcastle is actually the stronger team. They've got a score of over 1560, while Man United is down around 1547. So on a neutral field, you'd probably give the edge to Newcastle. But the match is at Old Trafford. So which one matters more? And the AI's answer is clear. The home advantage wins out, big time. It gives Manchester United more than a 52% chance to win, even though they're playing against a team with a higher ELO rating.
This just goes to show you how heavily that venue variable is weighted in the model.
And just like before, we see that advantage show up in the expected goals. The model is projecting a strong day for the Manchester United attack, expecting them to score around 2.85 goals on average. Meanwhile, for this supposedly stronger away team, Newcastle, the model predicts a much tougher time finding the back of the net. It's only expecting them to score about 1.3 goals, less than half of what it expects from the home team. And when you put it all together, the most likely scorelines all point towards a pretty comfortable win at home for United. The AI is projecting outcomes like 2-1 and 3-1, turning that idea of a home fortress into a concrete set of predictions. So, after digging into all of this, what's the big takeaway? Well, we've seen that a team's basic strength, that ELO rating, is the foundation for everything. But it is not the whole story, not even close. The AI's real predictive power comes from layering on those other critical factors, especially the massive, massive influence of playing at home. And this isn't just guesswork. The AI's performance is constantly being graded using something called a Brier score. The easiest way to think about it is like a game of golf for predictions. The lower your score, the better you are. A perfect score is 0, and the whole point is to keep tweaking the model to get that number as close to 0 as humanly or artificially possible. But, and this is probably the most important thing to remember, this is all about probability. It is not about certainty. The source material is very clear about this. These AI models give us the most likely scenarios based on tons of historical data, but they don't have a crystal ball. And thank goodness for that, because the magic of football is that the underdog can and often does have its day.
Which really brings us to the final big picture question. As tools like this get smarter and more accessible, what does that mean for how we experience sports? Does understanding the data and the probabilities make us appreciate the game on a deeper level? Or does it risk stripping away some of that pure, unpredictable magic that made us fall in love with it in the first place? Definitely something to think about.